Imagine a cargo ship loaded with crude oil, cutting through the ocean on its way to India. It's a routine voyage until it sails into one of the most volatile maritime regions on the planet. Out of nowhere, regional tensions spike. The waterway becomes an active conflict zone, and the route is completely blocked off. Let's pause and look at what happens next. This flowchart tracks the immediate chain reaction of that single blocked shipping lane. Within days, national fuel reserves drop into the red, and consumer prices immediately spike. The scale of the problem becomes clear when we look at the exact numbers. This chart shows India's energy dependency. Over 80% of the country's total oil supply comes exclusively through these specific sea routes. And it's a two-way street. Nearly 1/3 of all outgoing Indian exports rely on passing through these exact same choke points to reach global markets. Historically, securing a vital trade route like this meant choosing a side. You had to join a superpower's military alliance to guarantee protection for your cargo, which practically guaranteed getting dragged into someone else's war. So India faces a highly specific math problem. How do you deploy a military to protect your economic lifeline without picking a side or triggering a wider international conflict? The answer lies in a specific geopolitical doctrine known as strategic autonomy. It intentionally avoids the traditional binary choice of international relations. There is no signing of rigid defense pacts, and there is no retreat into total isolationism. Instead, it relies on actively maintaining neutral, working partnerships across the board. You can see how this looks in practice. This map of the Indian Ocean region shows diplomatic connections radiating outward from India. The lines connect to various capitals that are currently at odds with one another, yet all maintain a functional relationship with New Delhi. By holding this balance, India is able to prioritize its own domestic economic security, ensuring the cargo ships keep moving, without turning into a proxy fighter for another nation's objectives. Diplomacy only goes so far on paper. Out on the water, that theory translates into a massive physical operation, what the Indian Navy treats as an invisible war. The objective is entirely defensive. Instead of deploying strike groups to attack enemy positions, the Navy assigns warships to directly escort massive, highly vulnerable commercial oil tankers straight through danger zones. The strategy relies on presence. Placing an advanced, heavily armed frigate alongside a trade route creates an immediate deterrent against piracy or state-sponsored blockades. Because these naval escorts operate under a doctrine of strict neutrality, neither side of a regional conflict flags them as hostile targets. They navigate high-tension waters without drawing fire. Pulling this off requires relentless technical monitoring. Managing a defensive perimeter across thousands of miles of ocean means relying on constant radar surveillance and human vigilance to predict threats before a weapon ever needs to be fired. And keeping that perimeter secure requires serious logistical stamina. Specialized support vessels, like fleet replenishment tankers, continuously resupply the combat ships so they can stay on station indefinitely, far from their home ports. In this operation, the victory condition is zero combat. The military strength is there strictly to guarantee that the lifeblood of the global economy never stops flowing. Because of this constant armed vigilance, our hypothetical cargo ship never stops moving. It navigates the conflict zone perfectly and safely arrives at port. Back on land, the results are completely mundane, which is exactly the point. Fuel prices stay flat, supply chains function normally, and a massive economic shock is entirely avoided. It proves that in the 21st century, neutrality requires an immense amount of military capability and the proactive control to enforce it. In a polarized world, whoever has the capacity to secure the ocean's arteries controls their own future. India is securing its own, relying on the quiet, persistent power of balance.